curious how street photography can help better understand your camera and enhance your photography skills? Well, in this video, I'm going to show you. If you're new, hello, my name is Dimitrios and I create videos on drones, photography and everything in between. And I break down large topics into smaller ones, making you feel less overwhelmed. So subscribe for future videos. Now, the first thing I'm going to say here is pick a location. And now you're probably thinking, how does a location help me better understand my camera? Well, street photography, you need to be outside. So pick up your camera and let's go. Don't overthink it too much, because if you do decide you're feeling uninspired or you don't like it, you can always move to another location. So just pick a location and grab your camera and let's cover the next step. Now, why is lens choice important in street photography, and how does it better help you understand your camera? Well, firstly, whether you have a zoom lens, that will help you understand how focal lengths will affect an image. Also, you can stay in one spot and zoom in and out compared to a prime lens where you have to move physically. So depending on what lens you're using, it doesn't really matter which one. Even if you have a kit lens, just grab that and head to the streets and start practicing. Whether you're going super wide or you're zooming all the way in, or you're using a shallow depth of field or a very narrow depth of field, and how it will give you layers within your photo. By doing so, you can then adjust the settings on your camera to get that shot you want. Oh, I almost forgot to mention as well that if you have any creative filters that you can add on top of your lenses, for instance, in my case, I like using Polar Pro Short Stash filter, which is a circular polarizer and black mist filter. So the circular polarizer helps cut reflections on cars and buildings, and then the black mist just adds a light mist effect in the highlights. And that's just a personal taste, that's just what I like. If you don't like that, just don't use a mist filter. You can use another filter of your choice. There's plenty available, and I will link some in the description box down below. Now let's move on to camera settings and what mode should you be in when you do street photography when starting out. Now, my recommendation would be stick it into aperture priority, and that way the only thing that you have to think about is just changing the aperture, whether you're going to open it up or you're going to close it up, giving you either a shallow or narrow depth of field. Now the camera will do the rest of the work in terms of adjusting the shutter speed, and as for ISO, if it's a bright day like this, you can either stick it into 100, and that way your images will be as clean as possible. Or if you do have variations in your shots where it's slightly shady, slightly sunny, I will put it to auto ISO, but I would cap it at like 800. So that way if the camera needs a little bit of assistance, if it's too shady, the ISO will bump up slightly. Is that all I have to do now? There's a cat in the corner there, if you can see it. I've got to read my notes quickly because I keep forgetting. Now the other thing I'm going to suggest here is shoot in RAW and JPEG. Now the JPEGs will allow you to share quickly, but they will come with a default preset of whatever your camera is. RAW will allow you to post-process your images and potentially change the look of them in editing, and I can explain some of those later. Or you could use creative styles or presets built into your camera. For instance, I made a video on Sony's creative styles on the Sony a6400, and it's up here somewhere, I'll link it in that video. However, this newer a6700 does have slightly more advanced features with creative styles. I'll probably have to make another video. Just let me know in the comments if you want to know that. I know Fujifilm has their Fuji recipes, and Canon, I'm not sure, but I'm not a Canon shooter, but I'm sure there's other photographers out there. Just let me know in the comments down below. So now that we've covered getting outside, lens choices, and then what settings you need to be in for street photography, now we can go and practice composition. You right, mate? Should we talk? Ah, cat got spooked. Come here. Now we move on to practicing your composition for your photos. So there isn't really a right or wrong answer in street photography. It's whatever you aesthetically see or enjoy. Using the viewfinder or your LCD screen of your camera, look into that and try and practice your composition. Ideally, it's a good idea to turn on grids, so the rules of thirds, and that way you can use the grids to align your photos. So for instance, if you are taking a picture of a person or an animal, you can align the top line against their eyes so they will be perfectly framed. And this is why street photography is so helpful, because it will help you practice your shots, getting better at photography. Not only understanding your camera, but looking through the menu of your camera, finding out where these options are, and then turning them on and off to help you become more comfortable with the camera that you're using. Even for me, using this Sony a6700 is still a ton of features that I haven't fully utilized yet, which is why I'm out here in the streets trying to make this video and breaking these topics week by week, so I can help you understand how to use your camera better, or get the most out of your camera, I should say. And just remember, you don't have to shoot horizontal all the time. If you think it's going to look better vertically, tilt your camera vertically, and that way the photo will even appear better for Instagram as well, because it prefers vertical formatted pictures. So now that you're out practicing street photography with your camera, trying to understand different focal lengths, understanding how to use the menu system on your camera, getting quicker at adjusting settings, well, aperture really, but looking at the ISO values, should you go and shoot alone or with friends? Well, you can do either. So like today, I'm on my own, but I have my friend over here, you're right, who's not paying any interest to me. But this is probably the reason why I'm out in this alleyway, because it's so quiet. I can actually film in peace. However, if I was a friend, it would be a lot easier. They could hold the camera, we can bounce ideas off each other, we could help each other understand our cameras if we can't find a certain feature. Whereas on your own, it can be a little bit challenging, but you can probably shoot a lot more. If you're with someone, you can probably shoot each other, not literally with the camera or shooting with your camera. I don't know how that's gonna pull off in the video. But yes, shooting alone will allow you to be in peace and more focused in trying to craft your aesthetic. Whereas when you're shooting with a friend, you can bounce off ideas of each other. Also, you can always find inspiration from others online. For instance, I've gone and taken my inspiration from a few photographers online, especially Curtis Pedley, who does a lot of photography POV. Thanks, Curtis. You all right, mate? How are you doing? Now, there isn't really a right or wrong in street photography. It's purely down to your aesthetic and what you think is good. And sometimes you may not even like the image that you have shot, but in post-processing, you could probably fix that or make it a little bit more aesthetically pleasing. I know that I've done this in the past where maybe I've overexposed the photo or underexposed it and it didn't look so good. However, in post-processing, I'm able to save that. Or I wasn't happy with the look of the image that I took, but as soon as I add a preset to it, completely transforms it and turns it into something that I actually like instead of deleting it. So remember, just take as many photos as possible. Don't delete anything when you're doing street photography, and wait till you get to post-processing to decide whether you want to keep them or delete them. You look really pissed off, don't you? Why do you look pissed off? Now, I've tried Lightroom editing videos in the past and they haven't done so well, but I hope from the images that you've seen from today's video as they've been slideshowing through, these have been edited with my presets. The one I've been using is called Mediterranean. So this is why post-processing can be fun for street photography, because you can change the look and feel of your photos. So I hope today's video has given you some insights on how street photography can help you better understand your camera and how it can improve your photography skills. So let me know in the comment section down below how street photography has helped you. What's the best thing that you've learned about your camera? What camera you're using? What lens were you using? Remember to subscribe for more drones, photography, and everything in between. And if you enjoyed this, YouTube recommends you watch this next.